Hello my friends, Peter with Never 6% Realty. Have you thought about buying land, lots, residential property, commercial property, acreage? Well, I love it. I think it's a great investment, but there's things you need to know when it comes to buying land. We're gonna get right into that. So when buying raw land, take in consideration the zoning. Zoning is so important, and just because in public records it says it's zoned commercial, doesn't really mean it's zoned for commercial. You need to call the zoning department in that city and verify everything that you're doing. Because for example, it could show in public records it's zoned commercial, but you need 8,000 square feet of property or land to build that commercial development. And let's say the lot's only 7,500 square feet. Therefore, it wouldn't pass. So you need to double check, even though if it's zoned for multifamily or for commercial or residential, you might need a bigger plot of land in order for you to exercise those rights. So even if the land says multifamily, for example, and the land is 5,000 square feet, it might not be buildable, but it has that zoning. So take in consideration the size of the square footage, the size of the land in order for it to be buildable. Very important. Hey, so buyers, when buying land, you might come across what is called landlocked property. And what that is basically is that there's other owners that own property surrounding yours. And the only way you're going to access that property is by going through a neighborhood and property to get to your land. So what you're going to do to solve that is get what is called an easement. And an easement gives you the right to access your property. There's a Florida law called by necessity that gives you the right to access your property, but having an easement is really what it takes. And that could cost you a lot of money. So in other words, you're gonna have an easement that's taking up a part of maybe your property and the neighbor's property to make like a road, but you're gonna have to pay that neighbor X amount of dollars and go through a legal red tape in order for this to be accomplished. So, keep that in mind when looking at landlocked property. One aspect of buying land, raw land, is a feasibility study. That's the actual physical, environmental aspects, financial, and market conditions. So let's use that for an example. The physical, environmental part of it is you're buying this piece of land and the soil's soft, it's sand, that might cost more money, you have to add fill, or the soil is clay and it's hard as hell and you're gonna have to break that and really dig deep. So it just depends. And of course, the other part of it is a financial market considerations. Is it financially feasible to put up a certain type of commercial building in this location? How is it going to affect the neighborhood, the surrounding businesses? Are you going to make money? How is the traffic going to flow in and out of that parcel, that property? Or it could be mixed zoning for residential and commercial, and it might make more sense financially to build a residential complex over a commercial building for a business. So the feasibility study is a lot of different segments that make up exactly what the property can be used for, and all those aspects from market conditions, financial, physical, and environmental. So you're buying a piece of property. What about clearing the land? Think about this. What's on the property? Is it pine trees? Is it oak trees? Is it just rocks? That's going to take money to clear the land if you can use it for farmland or just putting up a single family home. So, even if the listed price is 100 grand and it's going to take you $20,000, $30,000 to clear it, you need to take that in consideration that's a fee, a cost to you, and you can use that as a negotiation tool. So people don't realize this, and it's not really talked about, but there is a thing called wetland protection vegetation ecosystems, and this wetland vegetation protected ecosystems doesn't give you the right to build. You can, and there's a stipulation to this, but it's almost impossible. So for example, you could buy 3 or 4 acres. Out of those acres, maybe 2 are wetland zoned, meaning that it's protected, it has an ecosystem, and there's certain species and plants like oak trees, mangroves that are protected. So for you to clear that property, it might be possible, but you have to get what is called mitigation bank credits. And that is a way of clearing the land by getting a permit and paying this fee. And it ranges from around $75,000 up to $500,000. So it's very expensive, and based on the value of the land, it might not be even worth doing. So take in consideration when looking at property, does it have wetlands? I would say one of the most common things you can do, ask or get for a piece of land is a survey. So important, so easy to obtain by paying someone to do it or asking the owner if they have a survey. And that is just to measure the boundaries of the property, of course, and to find out if there's any encroachments. So encroachments are things that have crossed over the property line into your property. So for example, maybe the owner or the neighbor built a shed on your side of the property or put a fence up on your side of the property line. So you want to find out about these things, and you want to get a survey just to make sure that you know the boundaries. It's so important to know exactly where your property starts and where it ends. So another thing you need to be aware of is impact fees. And impact fees are basically charges assessed on new development used to pay for services like your school, like your park, and this is for like a single family home, this is for commercial property. It's something to generate revenue to the city, and before buying a piece of property, you really want to call and find out how much impact fees are, so you have an idea when buying this property, you know how much it's going to cost when building and paying these impact fees. Sometimes if there was an old building that was demoed down, some of those impact fees have been paid, but regardless, most likely you're going to have to pay them when putting up a new construction, a new structure. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to leave my number on the screen. That way you can contact me if you have questions. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.